Sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and could even keep you from the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. Welcome to the No BS Sales School podcast. I'm your host, Walker McKay. Thought I might take a slightly different tack today. I've had several friends, a couple of clients and a friend or two that have started their own businesses in the last month. Went out on their own. They were in a corporate environment and decided to go start something on their own, each slightly different situation, both of them kind of small startups. And a couple of them called me to ask me for advice. And I thought I would share this advice. And some of this may be advice. I think it can be very parallel to advice I might give a salesperson. Same thing. So take this in. And if you have in your mind the things that you want to, you want to start your own business someday, do this on your own. I am a big believer in that. It's not the right thing for most people, but if you're like me and you're unhireable and you keep bumping up against people that tell you what you can't do and that drives you crazy, then maybe it's time. And I'm happy to talk to anybody about that if they want to do that. And I would suggest a couple of things for advice. Number one is there's never a great time. There is never a perfect time to go start your own business. It's always, my kids are really young and we've got to be home with them, or my kids are in high school, we got to be prepared for college, or my kids are in college, I can't possibly do this. Whatever, right? Or we're doing too much stuff at the current office now, blah, blah, blah. It's never going to be the right time. The time to do it is when you say, I got to do this now, right? I need to get out. I've had enough. I have my own vision. I have my own path. I see where this needs to go and I'm ready to do it. And you'll know when that is. And you'll always wonder, is this the right time or should I wait 6 months or a year or whatever else? You'll know when it's the right time. There's never a bright sign in the sky that says, go now. You just have to pick it, trust your gut, and go. Right? And here's the problem. Once you go run your own business, once you go out on your own, and you've been doing it more than, say, 6 months, it's really hard to go work for somebody else ever again. And I say that as somebody who had started their own business, then worked for somebody else for a while, now go and start my own business again 10 years ago. It's really hard to work for somebody else. But it is what it is, right? Some of us are unhireable. It just took me longer to figure that out. So number one, maybe the sign doesn't come up in the sky, but you'll know when it's time. Trust your gut and go. Number two, preserve your cash. It will take longer than you think to get income in the door. It will take longer than you think to make things happen. And also there are expenses that will come up getting started that you weren't prepared for. There's insurance, there is office space, there's office furniture, there's phone lines, there's all these things, cell phones, whatever, computers, whatever it is you need to do to get started. I would tell you start small. I started my commercial real estate business with a plastic fold-out desk in a cheap basement office somewhere. My training business, I started in a tiny little office downtown that I think I paid $150 a month in rent, right? Keep my expenses low. And watch that. And money is very easy to borrow. The bad thing about bankers is they're happy to lend you money. The hard part is paying it back. So just be careful when you're borrowing money. Know that it's 3 times harder. It's 100 times harder to pay it back than it is to borrow. Now, sometimes you got to borrow. I do that. I work hard to pay it back. Watch your credit rating, all those things. But hold on to your cash as long as you can. It's going to take longer to make sales, longer to get up to speed than you think. It's just a good thing to remember. And the next thing, and we'll spend a little more time here, is value your time. I think this is one thing. I don't know how often we think about this, but let's pretend that your goal was to make $200,000 in a year, right? So I want to make $200,000 in a year. So if we do simple back of the envelope math, and let's pretend you were to work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. Now, as an entrepreneur, as a startup person, you're probably going to work more hours than that. But let's just make the math easy. 50 weeks a year, 40 hours a week, call it 2,000 hours, right? In the year you're going to work. You want to make $200,000. That means you need to be doing things that are $200 an hour, $100 an hour or more to make $200,000. Things that are valued at $100 an hour or more for the entire 2,000 hours, right? For you to make $200,000. So So think about that. What are the things that you need to be doing that are worth $100 an hour or more? And what I would tell you is maybe think about it this way. What are the things that are worth $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour? Well, here's a list of what some of those things are. One is prospecting, reaching out, talking to people who could give you money. Number two, asking for referrals for people who can give you new money. Number three, planning. Super important, very important that you sit down and take time to plan on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and a quarterly basis. Where are we going? How's it going? What do we need to do differently? What do we need to change? What's not going as well as it should be? What's really crushing we need to double down on? So also, this is slightly separate, exercise. Very, very important. Keep your body strong, your brain strong. This is the only thing we have to get us through life, right? This vessel right here. Make sure you take time to take care of yourself. Other things that are worth, over $100 an hour. Thinking about where you want to go, planning for where you want to go to get ahead, right? Where is it we're trying to go, right? Also, looking for the right people to join you, having your eyes open, having the idea for not the person maybe that you need right now, but the person to be valuable to have a year from now, 2 years from now. Begin to build your bench, your mental bench of who you want to work with you and what they might do. Let's talk about some things that are worth less than $100 an hour. And this is going to sound funny, right? Because what I was talking about was new money in the door. After you get paid, there are things you have to do to take care of your existing customers and clients. You've got to do fulfillment, right? You have to deliver. You have to make sure the operations are going right. You got to handle customer service. All those things are valuable, right? But they're worth less than $100 an hour. Bookkeeping, less than $100 an hour. Super important, worth less than $100 an hour. Admin stuff. Paperwork, bullshit, upkeep stuff, exactly what I'm talking about, way less than $100 an hour. Here's what I want you to think. And I tell you on one hand, cash is at a premium, and you need to be doing the things that are worth $500, $1,000, $2,000 an hour. As you begin to grow your cash flow, think about the things that are worth less than $100 an hour you can pay somebody else to do. If you can pay somebody $20, $25 an hour on a part-time basis to handle your paperwork, your bookkeeping, your marketing, your stuff, right? Your back office things. If you can either automate that, right? Plenty of tools, you can automate a lot of those things. The more time you are hand-holding with existing customers, and this sounds bizarre, that is something you have to do, but that is typically not worth more than $100 an hour. That's stuff you have to do to keep your existing book. Now, working with them and asking for referrals, that is a much higher revenue activity. So here's what I want you to think about. If you want to make more money, the sooner you can offload the things that you don't like to do, that you aren't very good at, that would take you 3 times as long, that are worth less than $100 an hour, the sooner you can offload those to somebody else who may have a skill at that, may love doing that, may think that's the greatest thing in the whole world. And who would do it for 5 hours, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, right? Plenty of people available to do that, and they don't have to be in your hometown. My assistant is in Michigan. One of my marketing teams is in Maine. Another part of my marketing team is in Europe. And I have, people all over the country are helping me, right? I pay them and they can do it remotely. A lot of your work can be done remotely, and a lot of your work you can automate with the tools that are out there right now. What are the things you're best in the world at that bring the most value to your company? Focus on those things and make sure that you're spending time. And maybe it's when you're starting and you got to go get new business. I don't know exactly how much because everybody's business is different, but let's just say 3 to 5 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week, prospecting for new business every single day. You need to make sure that happens and then get the rest of your shit done outside of those hours. For you sales guys, you need to be prospecting. You got to fill out reports. You got to go to meetings. You got to do all this stuff. I get it. But make sure that you have time blocked out every single day to go prospect, to get in front of people, to reach out to people, to walk indoors, to call, whatever that is. Make sure you've got time blocked. That's your $200, $500, $1,000 an hour stuff. And the more of that stuff you can get done, it takes your average up, the more money you can make. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales. I'm a huge fan of entrepreneurs. I've gotten my ass kicked as one for the last 10 years, and I love it, and I would never go back. If I can ever help you, call me, 803-917-2817. Buy my book, Some Will, Some Won't, So What, Who's Next? It's on Amazon. Leave me a review on Amazon. That'd be super helpful. If you know somebody needs to hear this episode, share it with them. Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon. Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you're struggling to close deals, then I want to invite you to take my free mini course, where you'll learn the 7 most expensive sales mistakes that will cost you time, money, and credibility. So be sure to click the link in the show notes or go to www.7salesmistakes.com. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast.